Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So if you watched at the end of our previous episode, the April update, I went ahead and I purchased a Red Sea Reef Mat. I've never had a filter floss. What the hell you call this? I don't remember what you call it, but it's fine. I've never had one of these, but if interesting enough, I've set up like 3 of these before for other people. They asked me to help them kind of just plumb it into their tank, and I was like, cool, whatever. So I've touched quite a few of these, but I've never actually owned one myself. So I do feel like this is the perfect time to go ahead and do so. I have been getting pretty lazy as far as removing my filter socks, so they are nice and dirty. I currently have them removed right here. So they're not currently in, but usually what happens is it gets really dirty and it just starts to overflow, and that's why you see all this stuff right here. This little wrasse right here, for some reason, I keep putting him into my frag tank on the other side of this wall, but he keeps swimming back, and I don't know why. I do have the caps, but they're upstairs to cover this outlet or inlet, whichever way you want to think about it. But I keep forgetting to put it back. So this guy keeps getting, keeps swimming in here. I keep grabbing him, putting him into the frag tank, and then he just swims back, which is really annoying. But yeah, today we're going to go ahead and install this reef mat. So hopefully you can follow along with me. And what's cool about this S-1000 Red Sea is this reef mat, well, this tank is actually set up to take a reef mat. So I don't have to remove any walls or anything. This glass piece right here comes right out, and it's basically reef mat ready, which is awesome. All I have to really do is slide the guy in, close this little or remove this little cap right here to input the tubing, and just plug the guy in. We're gonna go ahead and turn off the flow right now, get it all set up, and then at the end I think we're gonna go ahead and try to clean this this back chamber up just to see how clean it'll actually be. Okay, so first step first, we went ahead and kind of took it apart out of the box. Here is just all the bits right here. And we're going to go ahead and first take off this glass part right here, which is supposed to just wiggle right out. Perfect. You can see all the detritus just kind of blowing itself away. I think I'll just go ahead and put the glass there for right now, just because there's some good sponges and stuff on there. So we'll probably just try to clean it off later. First step is going to be just to place this guy in. Now you do actually have to take the head off right here, just because this reef mat's a little bit too big, so it doesn't work. But we're gonna place it right there. We did go ahead and put the little feet on as well, so that it can just freestand against the glass, and it's just gonna hang right here. So perfect. All we have to do is just connect the tubing to the inner part and just kind of put it all together. But that's kind of, as you can see, how the reef mat fits into the S-1000. It just kind of hangs there right off of the front glass. So I'm not going to film this next part, this whole putting it together. Nothing really to it besides following the manual, but we'll be right back. All right, so we've gone ahead and installed the reef mat right here. So far, so good. I did have to close the overflow pipe a little bit, just because I was getting a lot of bubbles. Obviously, installing something like this, it's going to change the water flow in this sump a little bit, which I was expecting. We went ahead and cut the pipe a little bit shorter because it came with like 4 feet of pipe, which I don't need. So we just shorten it so it's able to connect. I might try at some point to hard plumb it, just because, I mean, that's what, 6 inches? It's a little bit of wasted space. I feel like if I could move everything to the left just a bit more, it'd be a little bit cleaner. But as far as right now, we haven't obviously needed to do the auto advance yet. I may put a little bit more sealant into this little area right here because I am still getting a little bit of bubbles, which I would rather not have if possible. I don't know actually if I'm able to take that out or not, but we'll go ahead and give it a shot, see if that sealant will help a little bit. But hopefully it does, work as intended. I do know at the beginning of the Reef Mat coming out, there was a little bit of a problem here with the motor giving out because it couldn't handle, the amount of crap being pulled out. I know that was fixed from the earlier models with newer motors. So hopefully, it's the same situation here, and this is one that I don't have to replace anytime soon. One thing I am just a little bit worried about is maybe this taking too much nutrients out of the water. I do know, these clean very effectively to the point where, you may not have enough nutrients in your tank to keep things alive, which may mean I have to feed more. But that's something I'm pretty okay with. But we'll see in the long run, just kind of how everything goes. I do expect great things from this just because I will no longer have to, switch the filter socks out, and we could just leave this guy for months at a time. I do know also that the first couple months or first couple rolls, they're going to go by really fast, just cleaning up all the gunk that's in the tank. But then at some point, we may be able to get like an entire month or two out of the Reef Mat without having to change it, which is super awesome because it'll consistently clean a lot better than me having to switch filter socks every week, which I already don't do. But yeah, we'll see in a few weeks how well this does, and we'll get right back to you. Alright, so we are in the first 24 hours of turning on the Reef Mat. As of right now, it's already started doing a pretty darn good job, as you can see there. Currently, I am at 27 inches for the first 24 hours, which I think is, pretty darn good. The water flow has pretty much been resolved, so you can see here no more air bubbles, and yeah, it's just doing its job, cleaning that, all that gunk, which, as you can kind of see there, it's almost at the sensor again, so it'll probably do another rewinding in a little bit. But one thing I did want to go ahead and try is removing a bit of the detritus here on the bottom. I would really like to see in the long run if that actually helps. If this thing actually removes enough detritus to the point where I can have a clean bottom pretty much all the time, which would be super nice. I'm actually not sure of that. I haven't seen anybody else kind of mention that. So what we're going to go ahead and do is I took one of my old filter sock cups, put in a bit of new floss. We're going to jam it into a corner somewhere. And I'm just going to use my little turkey baster here, suck up all the little bits and pieces, and then, filter it through this so we don't waste any of that water, but, catch all these big particles. And then we're going to see in a little bit if, any of this detritus kind of comes back, or if this guy really does just pick all of it up. Alright, so we are at about a week now that we've had this little Reef Mat right here. So far it's doing super good. As you can kind of see here, I am averaging about 40 inches a day. I don't know if that is a lot. That's probably a lot because this is a recently installed Reef Mat and it has a lot of gunk to pull out. Overall, first review of the week. There is a noticeable difference. I will say it's maybe 10% clearer, I would say. I can visibly see that maybe the yellowing in the water has kind of gone away. So it's definitely working. I have to give it props. It is doing what it is supposed to be doing. Now, obviously, it is only the first week, so we don't know exactly how well this guy will do. There have been some issues mentioned by people who previously, people who already have Reef Mats. First one is this motor blowing out. What happens is once this roll is completely dirty and in the back, I think it's the weight that causes the motor itself to malfunction. Obviously, I don't have that issue yet, but hopefully that's something they fixed today. I know they fixed it with some of the people who first got the Reef Mat. They gave them I guess a stronger motor, I guess. Not really sure. Now, the one issue I have kind of come up with is, as you can see, the mat itself isn't rolling up completely evenly. So you can kind of see a little binding. Maybe you can kind of see a little binding. There you go. In this right corner right here, and then this left side is a little bit loose. And what that does is it kind of causes the Reef Mat here just to bind a little bit, but overall it doesn't seem like anything bad is happening, so that's okay. We had previously cleaned up the sump on the bottom here, and I'm happy to report that nothing has changed. It looks just as clean as it was before. It looks just as clean as it was before, which is absolutely amazing. What that means later on is that I'm going to try to put a power head in here to just blow all this crap out of here, all this crap out of the extension, then all the crap out of the back, recirculate it maybe through the tank, and then have this, pull it out again. Now, of course, that means I'm going to run through more of the filter roll, but I am absolutely okay with that. As many have noted, the first couple rolls you go through very quickly. Then after, in the later stages, once your tank is clean, these rolls will last up to like a month, 6 weeks, so on and so forth, which is really what I'm hoping for in the long run, because that would be absolutely great. Well, that is pretty much it for this week's episode. Just wanted to do a fun little unboxing. It's been a while since I've actually gotten any type of equipment for this tank. Everything has been pretty much just calc, skimmer, very simple in this tank, nothing crazy, but it was kind of time, just because I've always been so lazy changing those filter socks out. They just sit there for weeks and get more and more disgusting. Not that it was any detriment to the tank itself, but anything helps at this point, just to make it easier for my little pets here to live. Oh yeah, another thing that I kind of found, these things, which a lot of people put like media for the reef mats, you can put like carbon and stuff, and then it just slides into the bottom. What I did is we just put a couple balls of marine pure. I just kind of have laying around this stuff right here. So once it passes through that filter, it's just a little bit, extra biomedia just for some bacteria and stuff. So we'll go ahead and just slide that sucker right in. So we just slid that sucker in, and yeah, right there. Just a little thing I kind of missed right there. Alright guys, so we are now on week 3 of owning this Reef Mat. So far we have had a couple things happen, which is very interesting. Number one, I have had my first jam, as you can kind of see right there. So the roll actually went to the right a little bit, so I guess it wasn't perfectly dead center. So I did get a jamming malfunction where I had to kind of open these up and pull the mat over to the left. Looks like it might be jamming up again, but we'll go ahead and fix that, after this. So that did happen. Number two, I can definitely tell that the tank itself is getting clear. Obviously right now it's super blue, but that's, it's close to nighttime. But I can definitely notice at least maybe a 10, maybe 15% clarity. I think it's just mostly the water isn't as yellow as it used to be, which is very interesting. It definitely does look cool. One thing I have noticed, which is really weird, is I don't know if it's maybe just a seasonal thing and it has nothing to do with the reef mat, but I have actually eliminated a lot of cyano in the tank. So I had, for example, you can still see a little bit right there. I have a little bit of cyano algae, which is always just kind of, been in little hidden spots in the tank where flow hasn't been able to get to it. But for the most part, it's all gone now. So I don't know if that's because the Reef Mat caught it and eliminated it, or maybe it's just a seasonal thing where the cyano is kind of dying off because summer is coming in and it's becoming less dominant, so it's just kind of going away, even though it is still technically in the tank. One other thing that did happen, I'm not sure if this is related, but I am having a little bit of tissue necrosis here on one of my corals. I don't know if that has to do with the Reef Mat, because obviously the nutrients are going to be changing now that my tank is a lot cleaner. So that's one of my oldest colonies right there of an ASD rainbow. Like I said, I'm not sure if those things are related, but that's one thing I'm just gonna kind of make note of to see. So far, it's slowed down a lot. It was just like a couple branches, but we'll see later on if that heals. Now, if you look at the charts that I'm about to put up, we did essentially a couple things. So in the last couple days, you'll notice my usage of this Reef Mat has gone down a lot. We were, using a pretty good amount of mat, but day by day it's slowly going down, which does mean that my tank is getting clearer and kind of reaching that point where, it's not just grabbing a whole bunch of gunk, because the gunk is pretty much just settled out into the dirty part of the roll. But you will also see what I actually ended up doing today, just to see if I could force the mat to work, was I actually used my turkey baster right here. I sucked up a bunch of detritus and shot it directly in to the Reef Mat, and you can see where that spike is, where it just used a bunch of mat. But yeah, that was just kind of for fun to see if it would even do anything, which it definitely does. But overall, just from the couple weeks that I've had the Reef Mat, I am actually pretty happy with it. Personally, you don't feel like too much is happening just because it's doing everything by itself. Obviously, you're not changing filter socks, so it's a lot less hands-on. But I can definitely see the clarity in my tank improve. The cost of the Reef Mat is just a little bit on the expensive side. I can see how people justify paying that price for the convenience of something like that. But yeah, overall, I would definitely recommend a Reef Mat. Maybe not to somebody who's new, because I do feel like it does pull out a lot of nutrients. And when you do start a tank, I do firmly believe that you do need a good amount of nutrients in your tank just to kind of establish that bacteria. But once you get to a point where, it might be just a little too dirty, then, getting a Reef Mat is something that could be really fun and just something new to try out and do. But that is pretty much it for today's episode. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. I do appreciate the support. But yeah, that is it for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. And you can see my little mandarins here are trying to mate now. That's interesting. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace.